This episode of The Trap Set is brought to you by Tom Tom Magazine, the only magazine in the world about female drummers. The current issue features articles on war paint, Ty Segall, and Lang percussion. Visit their website and subscribe at tomtommag.com. The Trap Set will always be available for free, but we rely on donations from our listeners. Please visit our website at thetrapset.net and click donate. Subscribe to our show on iTunes, and if you enjoy what you hear, give us a review.
This is Joe Wong. Welcome to The Trap Set, where each week we explore the lives of drummers. I want to play something for you. You're hearing the song Always Looking by Dum Dum Girls, featuring my guest Sandra Vu on drums. I first saw Sandra play at All Tomorrow's Parties, a music festival held at a kitschy old holiday resort in Minehead, England. The band filled the room with its blend of brill-building pop and 70s garage rock. I admired Sandra's musically minimalist approach to drumming. Like Hal Blaine before her, she has the ability to take very similar beats and add texture and nuance to make every song burst with its own distinct energy. A few years later, I got to know Sandra when her band Sisu was on the same tour as me. In a live setting, Sandra plays guitar and sings, backed by her childhood friends and her boyfriend, Nat Kiefer, on drums. Given the high level of musical sensitivity I'd enjoyed in her drumming years earlier, it was no surprise to learn that Sandra is a multi-instrumentalist who played most of the instruments on the Sisu recordings. Here's my talk with Sandra Vu. What have you been doing?
I'm working on a record, and just pretty much locking myself up after a pretty long tour year last year.
You were touring with Dum Dum Girls?
Yeah, we did quite a bit of touring.
And you're working on a record for Sisu, your record?
Yeah.
Now, you grew up in California, right?
Mm-hmm.
In Orange County?
Yep, I was born in Orange County.
And what was that like? What was your family like?
My family is like, let's see, I'm first generation American in my family. I was the first, even out of my siblings, to be born here. So I have two older brothers who were born in Vietnam.
Did you speak Vietnamese at home?
A little bit. Kind of broke. Like, I grew up speaking Vietnamese, so I had it down, but it escaped me as I grew up.
But like when you were kids, would your parents speak to you more in Vietnamese or English?
When I was really young, it was more Vietnamese. And then like as the older I got, the more the ratio got watered down.
I feel like, I'm third generation, half Chinese. And by the time I was growing up, my dad did not speak any Chinese to us at home. Like he wanted full assimilation, or maybe that's not what he wanted, but that's what the results were. So did you have any sort of like identity issues since you were one of the only Vietnamese kids at school? And like you said, most of your classmates were white.
Yeah, I mean, it was mostly white. There were some Asians here and there were some like Latinos and stuff. But I think I'm pretty like race obsessed myself.
You are?
Yeah.
Like in what way?
I think growing up in school, it was a thing where, you were either like really Asian, quote unquote, or like you're whitewashed because you listen to rock music or something.
Okay, so you're saying like you're really Asian, quote unquote, because you play classical music, and then you're really whitewashed if you play rock?
No, it was like this Asian identity that wasn't really based on anything actually Asian. It was like, for some reason, the Asians growing up in my neighborhood, it was like they wanted to identify more with like gangster culture.
In what ways were you the typical Asian person? Like, did you take piano class when you were a little girl?
Yes.
Were you good at math?
I was good at math up until calculus. Like just like really I couldn't get it, and I had lost interest. Or actually, at that time, I was playing more music, and I was like,
Yeah, then your brain power goes towards that.
yeah, exactly.
Were
not
you
interested.
like a model student? Were you quiet and respectful?
I was, and I'm quite respectful now even, but yeah, I in school I was like pretty good. I wasn't like top, but I was definitely in honors classes in high school, and I like took my whatever the AP classes.
Did you what's some other stereotypes? Did you know any sort of martial arts?
Oh, I did take Taekwondo when I was young. I think it was just something to do as a kid. for
I
my
would always
parents.
get really mad because when I was a kid,
Yeah.
I took karate class from a white guy, and other kids would run up to me and say, "Hey, do you know karate?" And I'd be like, "Yes." So I'd be like perpetuating the stereotype.
Yeah, right.
But
Bruce Lee.
I didn't really, I didn't know Chinese, and I was totally kind of removed from Chinese immigrant culture.
So are you half Chinese or
Yeah,
part?
I am Chirish. My mom is of Irish descent. My dad is Chinese.
Wow, okay. So your grandparents are full Chinese on
My dad's side, yeah. But my grandmother on my dad's side grew up in Augusta, Georgia, which is where James Brown is from. And she was basically like a little miniature Chinese female version of James Brown.
No
like she loved to
way.
dance, and her accent was super thick Southern accent.
No way. That's awesome.
And she spoke Chinese, but I swear, like even when she spoke Chinese,
She had an accent.
she had like a Southern American accent.
That's amazing. I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
So, okay, how did you get into drums?
Let's see.
You played other instruments first?
I did. I started piano when I was really young, like probably 95% of other Asian kids in America. And I knew I wanted to play drums, but I actually played guitar before that because my brothers just had guitars around, and my dad had a guitar. He kind of could strum like a couple chords.
What did your dad do?
He's a psychiatrist.
Oh, nice. Did he go to medical school in Vietnam?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
He went there, and I think that's where he met my mom, because she was in dental school.
So your mom's a dentist, your dad is a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
We'll come back around to that later.
Yeah. Anyways, I actually started playing flute before I played drums, even because that was when I joined the school band, and it was like acceptable and easy. It was so small, and all the girls were playing it. So I'm like, okay, I'll play flute, even though I was like kind of looking over my shoulder and being like, but I really want to play drums. But it took like 5 or 6 years after that for my dad to finally get me a drum kit. And that's when I started, when I was like 13.
Great. And then did you take lessons or did you teach yourself?
I taught myself. I had one of my older brother's friends. He was like this cool punk guy. He just gave me like this rudiment book and kind of like showed me how to hit the kick pedal. And that was pretty much it.
What were the first beats that you copied?
And I remember playing Philadelphia, that song Philadelphia.
The Bruce Springsteen song?
Yeah. I don't know why it was out.
So what was the first hardcore show that you saw?
You know what? I played in a hardcore band, but I was listening to Weezer and the Cardigans at the time. So I don't know. I never thought I was a poser because I played it. It was just like I didn't identify with it. I didn't get into it, but I played it.
But you didn't have any friends that wanted to play Cardigans or Weezery stuff?
My friend Dave kind of like eventually came around to it, but no, not really. I mean,
we're talking about Dave that's now in
yeah,
your
yeah,
band,
you
Sisu.
know him,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. So Dave and Tito, those were the two guys that got me into. Well, we played in a band called Vile Existence, which was like the hardcore band.
Right. I'm guessing it's not the Weezer cover band.
No,
And did you write your own songs in that band?
Yeah, we did. A couple. Well, actually, you know what? We had a tape resurface pretty recently, and it's pretty good. I mean, you know,
Who was the
for
singer?
how young we were. They both sang. They took turns.
You didn't sing, though?
growling. No. I was playing drums, and
Were there other Asian kids in the hardcore scene in Orange County?
not at all. Not at all. Let me think. No, I was like the only Asian kid that even like really listened to rock music. Really. Not even, yeah. It was a rare thing, kind of.
I mean,
back then.
I didn't have any Asian friends in the punk community in Milwaukee either.
Yeah.
And I can't really even think of many that were in bands on the national scene at that time either.
On the national scene, like growing up?
People that I would have been able to look up to as a young, partially Asian person.
That's right. I mean, at the time, for me, like Smashing Pumpkins existed.
Sure.
There was James Iha, and I'm like, oh, yeah, there's that guy.
Yeah, but I hated Smashing Pumpkins, so it was like, oh, great.
Yeah, right. I still thought it was cool. Like, see, I think maybe that's when my obsession with, like, you know, who's Asian, whatever.
See,
began.
I think at that point, I just kind of, it felt all irrelevant to me, but only now in retrospect do I think about it more.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was obsessed, man. If I saw an Asian person that was into indie rock, I was like, oh my God, I need to like be that person's friend. I don't know why, but I just felt like
Tribal mentality.
We're so rare. Like, oh my God, it's so special.
What was it about you that drew you to that kind of music? Like, did any of your older siblings get into it, or you just found it? Oh, okay. So your older siblings got you into it.
Right, yeah. My brothers were, they were always into music, I guess. They had Morrissey posters on the wall and stuff.
I had a Led Zeppelin poster that was made out of like velvet.
Ooh.
Of the Swan Song logo.
Very sexy.
I took it down by the time I got into punk rock, though, because then I disavowed Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, you like burned it, right?
I probably recycled it.
Oh, that's responsible.
So then what happened after high school? Did you start playing more seriously, or did you go to college? What did you do?
After high school, I went to college, and then I
Where did you go to college?
I went to UCSB, Santa Barbara first. And I actually stopped playing for a while there because I moved into a tiny apartment, and I was, you know, trying to figure out what I was going to study. And music, I didn't know really at that point that, I mean, I wanted to play music, but I didn't really think it was a thing that could happen for real, you know, like as a job. Not even true.
So what was your focus?
I was going to say that's not even true because I studied art history, and that was, I never got a job with anything related to that. I went from there. I applied to transfer to UCLA, and I got in. So I just went because I thought, well, if I'm going to do this art history museum thing, maybe I'll have better resources there, and I'll be in LA where I have some more music friends so I can play.
And then you were doing web design for 5 years?
Yeah, about that, I think. Yeah, around, I don't remember.
And what was the first, like, when did you start feeling like you could do music for a job?
You know, I didn't really feel that I didn't feel that until I joined Dum Dum Girls. That was about 5 years ago from now, because I was getting paid for playing shows, which never really happened before that.
So 5 years ago is when you joined Dum Dum Girls?
Yeah.
And how did you meet Dee Dee?
I actually met her before I joined, really, really briefly, though. We met at South by Southwest in our old bands. And she liked the band that I played in. It was called Midnight Movies.
Which band was she in at the time?
She was in a band called Grand Ole Party. They were like a San Diego band. They played around a lot at the time, and Midnight Movies were all right. I mean, in terms of playing.
And it's really her vision, right? Like she writes all the songs and records it. by yourself or with? Did you play on the records?
I played on Only in Dreams, which was the second full-length record. She wanted to do like a live band type of situation on that record, but yeah, she works with her producers, Richard and Suna from Ravenettes, I think. I don't know who she's working on for the next one, but yeah, it's totally her vision.
I don't know. The first time I saw you guys play was in England. A band that I was in at the time called Parts and Labor was playing at ATP, and so were you guys. And I got a chance to check you out. I'd never heard of I'd heard of Dum Dum Girls, but I'd never heard the music, and I thought it was awesome, and especially your drumming. I was like, I have to be friends with that person. But then I didn't actually get to know you until years later.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, we're done. No, I'm just kidding. So is playing in Dum Dum Girls like creatively gratifying to you when you're doing it?
I wouldn't say creatively. It's gratifying in a way that it's like it's like, I say this a lot. It's in a way it's like my dream job, because I am so passionate about playing drums, and here I was like traveling everywhere playing drums in front of people that were actually there, that didn't happen so much before then.
Right. People that were not there.
Yeah, exactly. Playing to zero people.
So who are the drummers that inspire you?
A really boring answer, which is like the same that everyone always says. John Bonham and Keith Moon. But I think in an inspirational, like more direct level, the first drummer who I saw was Carla from Autolux. When I saw her, I was like, it kind of made me feel like I could do this too. I mean, she's an amazing drummer. Like she's probably better than me. She's definitely better than me. But Carla, and then Sleater Kinney, Janet Weiss, just because they're women.
Are you going to see Sleater Kinney? They're playing down the street from here in a couple months.
Maybe. I'm like, I've have this, you probably have it too, where I don't go to see shows very often.
You have
anymore.
That too?
Yes. Don't we all?
I don't know. I mean, that's why I'm doing this podcast, because when I go on tour, all I listen to are books on tape or podcasts.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
And when I leave my studio after I'm working on music all day, I don't want to go see another band.
Right.
So I go see comedy or something.
Yeah.
Because my ears are burnt out.
Totally. And it's like the whole experience of going into a club, like that same smell and,
I mean, part of that is just getting older as a person.
Yeah, probably.
Like, I'm sure younger kids are excited about checking out lots of new bands.
Yeah.
Well, what's the demographic like at a Dum Dum Girls show? Is it people our age, in their 30s, people younger? Like, do lots of teenagers come?
This is
What's the mix? Is it lots of women coming out, or
it's exactly who I totally love and appreciate anyone who would take the time to come out to see us, but
okay, this is going to be good because there's like a disclaimer. All right, go on.
It's older men generally, and mostly, but I don't know, that sounds bad or something, like that's a bad thing, but I wish there were more women coming out to the shows, and I wish there were more young women and young like people in general. But
so you're saying a bunch of pervy old dudes are in the audience? There's
more perverts.
Has anything gross ever happened to you or anybody else in the band, or creepy? And if so, what is it?
It's pretty outrageous, but mostly the pervy stuff happens in England for some reason. There are older guys in England coming out. Probably like the more outrageous kind of thing happening is like pervy guys in the front with cameras pointing up into Bambi's skirt. Yeah, that happened once, and she almost kicked him in the face, but that stuff happens on occasion, but it's not. I don't know. I think people are kind of intimidated by us in a way too. So the people that we actually interact with more are like the nerdier, kind of older, like real music fan type guys. I wish there were more women coming to shows. Like, we get excited, all of us in the band. We're like, oh my God, there's like cute girls here. Yay.
Yeah. They might be pervs
boys.
too, the girls.
That's true. And that definitely happens too. Those girls are mostly in France. But no, I'm kidding.
So in England, it's the pervy guys. In France, pervy girls. So what do your parents think about your career path?
My parents, I think they've come to terms with it.
So that means that they were initially against it, or?
My parents are pretty cool in hindsight. They were the ones who got me the drums in the first place, and they encouraged the music stuff, and I was just the one who like stuck with it the longest, and I really fell in love with it. So in a way, it's kind of their fault. They could have.
Right.
I don't know if they had like
they should have discouraged you more, is what you're saying. And then you could be running a hedge fund now.
Right. No, maybe that would have backfired. That probably would have made me like deeper into music. So they were kind of, they make suggestions. I mean, still today, they're like, you can always go to school and teach music, which is a good idea. It's a practical idea. But
well, your current boyfriend is a drummer too, right?
Yes.
Are you still with Nat?
Yes, I'm still with Nat.
Nat's a great drummer.
Yes, he is.
So, I'm curious about that because I never date other musicians, and much less other drummers.
Really? Never?
Never, ever. I dated like an opera singer once, but it's not interesting to me because all of my friends are in music, well, lots of them anyway. And so, I don't know, I feel like for me, it's kind of like an opposites attract thing where I would rather date like a psychiatrist or a dentist than a musician,
I feel like I can never get away. Like I before Nat, I was like, I'm not going to date a musician for that reason. Like, I need to diversify my life influences or whatever. But I think I have like kind of a hard time talking to people who aren't musicians sometimes. Just because the lack of shared interests. I don't know. I just run out of stuff.
That's
Nat,
interesting.
Yeah. With Nat, we were talking about cymbals like the first time we had a conversation. And I guess like I'm just a nerd, like a gear nerd.
See, like for me, I could talk to you about cymbals or Nat about cymbals.
Yeah.
But, like one of my friends, but if I was on a date and talking to somebody about cymbals, I don't know. It would probably
you'd be so bored.
Harsh my mellow or whatever. I don't know.
Have you ever dated a drummer?
No. But I'm single right now, so if there's any drummer ladies out there that want to date me,
okay,
hit me up at thetrapset@gmail.com.
I'll let all my buds know.
So how long have you and Nat been together?
We've been together for almost 8 years. Our anniversary is coming up.
Do you want to get married?
Probably.
Do you want to have kids?
Probably. ...
One of the reasons that I started this podcast was to talk to other drummers about how they had kids and were able to navigate through parenthood as well as being a musician. And it's been really interesting. It's made me a lot less hesitant to have kids.
Yes.
Like I feel like it could work.
You're less hesitant?
Yeah, I mean, like when I started interviewing people, it was something that I was thinking about a lot. And it's given me a lot of assurance that it will work out. Yeah, and that it can be great.
Right. I think I would be totally interested in listening to those podcasts because I'm just thinking like, drummers who are really successful and have no issues with making rent, it's probably a lot easier for those guys. But what about the people kind of lower on the scale there?
I haven't talked to any of them yet. Like we're talking about like, the guy that played on Thriller by Michael Jackson or Brendan from Fugazi. But You know, like
I mean, even for me, like I would think it would be quite difficult for me to do, especially as a woman and like actually having to bear the, child. I don't know. I feel like.
Can you think of any examples of female drummers that have had kids?
Good question.
I'm sure it's happened.
I'm sure it has too, and I'm trying to think, but I can't even think of very many female drummers to begin with. But I'm sure. I mean, Janet White. I have no idea.
I don't think Janet has kids. Does she?
Probably not. I have no idea. I'm just like throwing out names. I mean,
I'm gonna get her in here and I'll ask her.
Yeah, you should ask her.
That'll be my first question. Sandy wants to know: do you have any kids?
She's like, who is Sandy?
So do you still have a lot of fun when you play with Dum Dum Girls? Like, do you get a thrill? Do you get goosebumps? Or is it like a job?
Maybe in between. I think it certainly has lost a little bit of its luster. You know, when you go on tour, it's really hard to stay interested for 30 shows or whatever. But, I mean, I don't know. I always hear people complain about, like, oh, I'm so sick of playing this song, but...
So where do you see yourself like headed in the future? What are your goals?
Right now, I'm working on my band, Sisu, and that's pretty much as far as I can see right now, probably to my detriment, but I just want to develop this project more and, put the work in, touring, whatever. For
people that don't know, Sisu is the band that you sing and play guitar in.
Yes.
So
I play it all in that band.
Live you play guitar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
No, unless you can think of something.
My one question is, what do you and Nat have to talk about? Like right now, it seems like I always admire people that are able to work together and be together in a romantic relationship and live together. How do you do that? You've been together for 8 years. Is it just easy?
It's really easy. I mean, he works. He has a real job, and he has a whole other set of challenges and difficulties and things that he goes through. So we talk about that.
I suppose you're gone a lot too, so that gives you time apart.
That's true. Yeah. But I mean, spending time with him is really easy, and that's like why I know this is, we're really good together, because I don't even feel like we've been together for 8 years. Like I don't know it just doesn't feel like it's really been that long. I don't know. We can sit next to each other and say nothing to each other for forever. But we on occasion will have like drum conversations. It's still it's like this ongoing topic with us. We always talk about it.
What's the nerdiest thing that you talk about?
Just drums. Like
are there nerdy drummers that you talk about?
Oh, like other drummers, you mean?
Or do you just talk about like the equipment? Or what is it?
No, we talk about drums and drummers. I don't know. He's more like up on like the names of, like the drummer who played on Thriller. I can't remember his name, but he would know it. And we talk about, last thing we talked about was Stevie Wonder on drums. Like I always thought it was maybe, I don't know if people ever even talk about it. Like it's underrated almost, but he's like his own rhythm section.
He's so great.
It's amazing. He's so amazing. He's got his like really unique groove. I don't know. That's like something we talk about.
Sandra Vu, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
The Trap Set is produced by me, Joe Wong, along with Chris Karwowski, who also edits the program. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at The Trap Set. And visit our website, thetrapset.net, to subscribe to our show for free. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please donate to our show. If you can't afford to donate, please tell a friend and give us a good rating on iTunes. Contact us at thetrapset@gmail.com.